Guys, how does Matt Barrie make business decisions? Find out in part 3. And also, he gives a piece of advice about how to win your vertical on the internet.
You know, just fixing problems. I'd load up some graphs in GNU plot and kind of see what was going on, and just the more I could fix, the more money it made, and eventually I could hire someone on $20 an hour. That's the beginning.
I think it's incredible, and I think what I find interesting is, and I think throughout that, Matt, there were several decisions you made. One, and I know, I think Freelancer is known for being a very data-driven company in making decisions.
Yep.
But I think throughout that story, there's a few times where you've had to make almost a little bit of an instinctual decision as well, and you have a great instinct for business as well.
Mm.
Can you tell us about how you go about making great business decisions and balancing up the data and sort of your instinct?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's been many points in the history of the company where there's been a critical moment where a decision's been made that has really made the whole world of difference. You know, on a daily basis now, we make decisions by looking at graphs and we do data science. In fact, the level of sophistication now that has come out of that initial dashboard that I built, that's now evolved into a whole data science infrastructure team. There's 40,000 graphs in real time. It's extreme. We do very, very, very deep testing on many things. In fact, when we get all the speakers out to StarCon, where you speak as well, the big conference, they look at what we do and they say, Silicon Valley's not even doing this yet, right? So this is an area I think we do pretty well. But more fundamentally around the decision-making process, there are certainly points in time where decisions were made that were very risky decisions that were like, wow, this is actually game changing. And, you know, one example there was the changing the name from GetAFreelancer to Freelancer.com. So Simon said to me, why don't you buy the domain name Freelancer.com? Because one of the things he did after he sold his company is he bought a bunch of great domain names. In fact, he's bought some of the best domain names in the world. He's got software.com, right? Like phenomenal names. And I said, well, okay, I'll ask the guy. So I looked the guy up. It's a Canadian guy, a British guy living in Canada. I said, I'm interested in selling the name. He goes, yeah, I want $750,000. And I'm like, wow. I mean, I was break-even profitability. I had no money. And I said to the guy, you know, how about 20 grand? And he told me, get stuffed. And I went back to Simon. I said, listen, there's no point. And why would I have that name anyway? Because, you know, a rose is by any other name still a rose. GetAFreelancer tells you what the business does. Hi, I'm Matt from GetAFreelancer. Okay, I know what you do. I'm Matt from Freelancer. Well, it's kind of abstract. Are you a freelance photographer, journalist? Even when I go to conferences today, and sometimes I have Matt Barrie, freelancer, they say, oh, who do you freelance for? Right? So I thought it's a bit abstract, and, you know, why would I pick the name, etc. Then Simon said to me, and this, I mean, I credit him on this decision. He said, well, what if someone else gets that name? I said, well, then we'll be subordinated because they'll be Freelancer.com and we will be forever GetAFreelancer.com. We'll always be subordinated to that brand. So I thought, shit, I actually have to get this name. So I went back to the guy and said, 22 grand. He says, go away. And then a day later, 24 grand. And he said, get lost, don't ever email again. Like he got actually quite angry with me. So I turned it into a bit of a joke. Every time I'd be down the pub having a beer, 28 grand, you know, and they're like, no, go away. And then my friends would say, hey, you haven't emailed that guy for a week. Oh, 30 grand. And this went on for 9 months, where I just ratcheted up by 2 grand each time. And eventually it got to 100 grand or something like that. And he emailed me back and said, okay, you're an idiot, but I want to talk to you on the phone because you're insane. And no one has actually pestered me this much to sell the name before. Yeah. So I spoke to him on the phone. He goes, yeah, a bunch of other people are trying to buy it, et cetera. And so eventually I got it for 325 grand. And that was absolutely game-changing for the company because we suddenly became the premium brand in the entire space, and we subordinated everyone.
Yes.
Because everyone else was like, oh, Lancy, Desk, like what are weird names. Someone would meet someone on the street and say, hey, did you know you can hire a freelancer online to get a job done? They'll go home and go, what's the name of that company again? And they just type in freelancer, and it would be 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, front page of Google, boom. In fact, it was so strong the competitors had to start using the name contractor to describe their workers. And then they got in trouble with the tax office because contractor means a specific thing under the tax code. And every time they talk about freelancers, we get traffic. Brilliant. So it's phenomenal. And so I think my tip for the startups out there, if you can get the canonical name for your industry, it is destructive, the marketing wind that you've got in the head, behind you.
It's worth it. Domain names are still, you think they still have value?
Blows out of the water anything you can do with Google AdWords, or like that. You get the journalist recall, you get the consumer recall, your SEO, your organic, everything. The brand, you're completely the premium brand for the space. You can never be subordinated. For example, another business of mine, escrow.com.
Yeah.
In the escrow space, it's number one.